AEW right now, you have a chance to go ahead and sign a whole bunch of these wrestlers that have either been released or or decided not to just renew with they contract with the company, and we'll see if other people join that in. Now, I know that a lot of people might say, "Hey, AEW, nope, let's not do that at all." What did we learn from last time? We shouldn't do that. From like the 2021 when everybody was basically leaving uh, WWE and their contracts, all that other stuff. Now, I will say that I am going to go against that one. I actually think that AEW is in a better spot than it was years ago to actually take on whomever they decide to do. And with that, I will say that the main thing is that I actually think that the main reason is because the company is, I think, in an actual better spot. They had more hype during that time, yes, than what they do now. But I think they actually know who they are in a different way. Like back then, I was like, you're wanting to just get names, you're wanting to get, because it's like, yes, they had a whole bunch of indie wrestlers. They did make some people uh top dogs and stuff like that from the indie scene that if you've only been really watching sort of WWE, or you're just not on the indie trail like that, whether it be New Japan and all that other stuff, then hey, they made people out of that. Whether it's Orange Cassidy, whether it's Hangman Adam Page, whether it's Darby, MJF, there's been other people, and yes, they have tried and failed with a couple of others. Where it was like the rise and fall and rise of Jungle Boy, or the rise and fall of Sammy Guevara. They got a bunch of people. And yes, some of those people have also gone to WWE, where it's like Jade, Royce Keys, formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs, Marissa May, but it's now Mariah. Ricky Saints, Starks. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, but this time around, I was like, but this time you actually got people who have been at the company for several years. So now you got your own level of people that got like legacy. It just ain't brand new. It's people who have cemented themselves with it. It's at the, cause like if you think about it, it's at the point where John Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose, has been with AEW as long and had a strong piece of it, part of it, that he is going, like, you're going to mainly know him as an AEW guy. You're not going to know his old former side of him. It's John Moxley now. That's how much he has pretty much supplanted himself with it. And yes, I didn't name like Kenny Omega or nothing like that because he had a whole thing already from New Japan, where it's like I even have heard and seen Kenny Omega. I was trying to name the people that I'm like wasn't so popularly known. But anyway, I was like, so I think this time around, I was like, they know who's sort of at the top of the card. They sort of know who's always going to be sort of main events. They sort of know the people that they like to have around, build with, do stuff with. I was like, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that everything's great. That doesn't mean that they're always firing on all cylinders or whatever like that. That doesn't mean that some things are just hit or miss. That's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying. But I'm saying now that they know who they are, what they want to be, who they can and cannot or won't or whatever bring in and all this other stuff. And I think that's very important on addressing the situation when it comes to talent. Now, I was like, as far as, and this is, we're talking about this, is that guess the biggest speculation or rumor that when the whole time is up, that New Day will be one of the people that's going over there. Now, I feel like this is a no brainer. I was like, this is very easy to sort of just be like, yeah, I was like, if they're available, go and sign them or whatever. Whether that's what they want to do, that's different. But everybody, they already got a relationship with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. You've already heard this from other people that does wrestling stuff. But I was like, also I was like, they say have stuck in WWE for so long. They have never really, until this moment, they have never really made a fuss or anything about any of the stuff that they do. And I was like, I think that they have been treated real like they have been treated really well, and also have been undervalued also at the same time. But that's also just me. But I was like, but everybody seems to like them. They get along with them. There are plenty of people that it's back in their favor. Like I said, there's never been anything about them. They never seem like they're like against anything. You know, they play within the rules, all that other stuff. So they good locker room people. So why would I bring this up? Is because the other person that there's rumors about, which hey, the rumors could just be like I tried to call somebody and I talked to him about a spot. It's like Aleister Black. Now, I was old enough to remember, and it didn't seem like it ended really fairly well with Aleister Black leaving AEW. But with that being said, it didn't seem like that really meant much with Andrade either. And hey, Andrade was able to come back. Andrade had a better footing this time around. It seems like a lot more than when he first showed up, and it was like, oh, it's really cool. And then, at the same time, so hey, does that mean the same thing that said with Alistair? I was like, this time I was like, his wife might be more involved. I mean, be involved in connection with him. That makes it a little bit of like, hey, I was like that sort of changed when you got to go somewhere else. I'm not saying that it's neither right or whatever for him to go. I mean, for them to take Alistair back. But what I'm saying is when I go back to my first point of them knowing who they are, how they feel, and all the other stuff, that I feel like this go around, you're not taking in Aleister Black, former NXT guy that seemed like WWE and Vince McMahon never could figure out how to do nothing with his popularity. You're taking back guy who did not do well in AEW for a variety of reasons. It mostly sounds like from like himself or whatever, who went to WWE, and guess what? Got cut within a year. So guess what? That means that you really don't have the same bargaining chip or whatever like that. You're kind of really on like this, like how CM Punk was going to WWE, where it was like, oh, you done burnt your bridge here, then you burnt your bridge here, and then you got it back. You ain't really got any too much that you got left to go. And yes, there's other promotions that he can obviously do. Not like he's gonna be out of a job, but I'm saying if he want to be on something of like really like TV and all the other stuff, yeah, there's not. I would like there's not too much in that form or way. But I'm not saying that they should do it. I'm just saying that they are in a better spot to figure that out this time around. They got a more established people. They got more. They got. I don't want to really say a pecking order because I was like, I mean, because I was like, we know that politicking comes with being a wrestler, but I was like, I feel like you understand that your stuff ain't gonna fly the way you just think it's gonna necessarily fly just because. Like, yes, everybody, like I said, can politic, but that's not what we're talking about here. Then that comes with being said to other people on the list. Motor City Machine Gun. Woo, to try to say that 7 times fast. Who seemed like it was between them and AEW anyway, and they went to WWE. Well, it seemed like I feel like that would be probably a no-brainer to bring them over because you was already going to do that. Same thing with Santo Escobar. I'm just saying like there's several people that I feel like you could do. And going back to sort of like learning the lesson from 2021, I think another reason why they would do better at this than they was last time is that they wouldn't probably bring everybody in at the same damn time, because I think that was sort of what was too much. It was cool, but also too much with the hype train of all that stuff with AEW, where it was just kind of like it's just seemed like, oh man, it was like here's CM Punk, here's Daniel Bryan, here's Adam Cole, here's Andrade, here's Aleister Black. Like it was, I was like Rusev Miro. It was just like they were like I don't even know. I don't even think I got that order right, but it was just everybody coming through back to back to back to back to back to back. Keith Lee, uh, I was like, it was so many of them. Then it was like Kyle O'Reilly. Then it was, I was like, so it was a whole bunch of them just all coming in because guess what? You want to go to the second promotion. I was like, and at this time, I was like, they were the second promotion because they were new, but they was, let's also act like they wasn't fighting back with WWE at a time either. But I think you had too many people coming in, which also disrupts the balance of all the people that you brought in that were like that now you can say our AEW like guys. Oh, and also like the indie dudes who I think they were trying to give a chance to a lot, but they just ain't have the names in the same way. Is that I was like, I think that also created. I was like, it created poor management of people in locker room and trying to get everybody on the card. Everybody can't be a disregarded WWE star that nobody did potential that can never fill up their potential with to make a world heavyweight championship match with. Like it, I was like that. I think that was a little too much, or not match with, but to have the title. So I think that was a little bit too much in that regard. So I think this time around, I'm like those people that will do it. I was like you. I was like they're not gonna bring all those people in, but I was like you can bring those people in at a time. Like guess what? New Day is probably gonna be the ones hit first. Then you might bring the Motor City Machine Guns in maybe like a month or two later. That's fine because you also give everybody their own personal way of coming into the new place. You also get to have a plan with them. And I also too think that unlike WWE, another reason AEW will do better in all this is because at least with the guys that are coming in, they do fit a slot that you can already throw them in without disrupting anything else. They already sort of have they already have their role, and you can always go up from there. But there's something for them to do, even if there's not necessarily a story, because unlike WWE, where storylines take place over the wrestling, I was like, AEW, the wrestling take place over the storyline. So you bring in a Santo Escobar, say you have immediately have him fight Roosh. Guess what? They can just do matches several times, and then what? And then that's it. I was like, and that'd be cool because everybody would appreciate all that going on there, and then and then they're doing something. They're still fulfilling their time before, and you don't even have to necessarily have them have a storyline or anything yet. I was like Ricochet when he went to AEW, and I was like, yes, I understand that he's a punchline to a lot of people, but the thing is actually he's on TV. He's actually doing wrestling. He's doing wrestling that he likes to do. He could wrestle for pretty much how long they sort of need to in order to provide whatever they need to, and then he sort of gets to feel out of character. Then he gets to sort of do a storyline. So all the other stuff gets to flow in. Now I was like a little bit better than immediately being like, okay, what are we going to have this guy do? And then after that, you don't have nothing for him to do. So at least they can put on a 10, 15-minute match against somebody. And I was like, you get to just fulfill that part of it while you're trying to figure out other stuff. And the thing is, I will say that I also think that AW, while yes, like WWE, everybody just wants to fight. They are being better to me of having different type of people who want to fight than everybody just being a tough guy. And so what I'm saying is that an Escobar, uh, I was like, we don't even have to do like the Wyatt Six, but let's just say like Dexter Loomis, he could just have a character there. And while putting on doing matches, he can also just have a character that he just sort of makes up, intervenes here and there, and all the other stuff. Um, and then it just sort of fills on from there. The storyline sort of makes itself, I feel like, as things go on. Like, yes, there is some people that get lost in the shuffle, but I think they have done a better job of having someone to sort of do something than what it used to be. Like back in the day, where it just be like, man, I ain't seen so and so in several months at all, and they were really just doing nothing at all. Whereas now it's like they do sort of seem like they do a good job of rotating people, and I was like in and out and through, and a lot of people can just be sort of backstage in a way. It sort of was like how wrestling was sort of during the 2000s, and I was like, and of course, like the 90s and stuff, where like people would be sort of just backstage. Like, why is the Hurricane talking to Kane? Why is that happening? Because they all are back there. They're all just back there in the locker room. Where like now it's like WWE just sort of like if there's not a purpose, then there's no interaction with anybody back there. Whereas AEW, they interaction with all people. Why? Who knows? But that's sort of also the cool thing about it. So I was like, so I actually am going to be on the side of AEW bringing in some of these people. Not all of them. Not all of them. but I do think that they're better equipped to bring in as many as they want to because of the lessons that they learned from 2021. I was like, and it'd be sort of cool to see who they sort of do, and I do think that New Day to me is the only one that's going to capture headlines. Everybody else is just going to fill in a spot or whatever. But I do think that if they could do this right, I'm not saying that I'm like their time to get WWE. I was like, that time is gone. That time is really gone. Of like of like the of like grabbing the zeitgeist and all that other stuff. But I was like, this and whatever happening with TKO, the contracts and all that stuff, we're gonna see how that plays out. I was like, I do think WWE's in a problem, and not how everybody just be like, oh, boring and stuff like that. I do think they're actually having an issue, and this sort of contributes to it. To where I was like, AEW, I think they just stick the course. I was like, I think that they can build, they can really keep on building upon this and just slowly just keep on nudging to that side. Because while they aren't going to recapture anything that's close to Bloodline Cody and all that other stuff, I was like, AEW do have a chance to do stuff that's like the Death Rider stuff with Hangman Page and stuff like that. They do constantly of that. It's really just more like if they could get some of their lower stuff doing. But I think they're doing. I like the stuff they're doing with Darby and MJF. And I was like, I like the way that they did like this title change for Darby than how it was going to be instead of with Death Riders and stuff like that. So I was like, I do like some of the stuff. Where's Jericho's like, yeah. But you get what I'm saying. But I think that also, I think some of these people also will help here because I do think that people say this about WWE too, where they talk about the depth of it, and I'm like, just because you have a lot of wrestlers don't mean that you have a lot of wrestlers. Like you gotta like, yes, you do need a good mix of like people who gonna lose, good mid carder, people you could throw in and stuff like that. I think AEW needs more of that of like people they can throw in um while they're trying to get their main guys in there. Like we all know that Will Ospreay's going to get the championship at some point and so stuff like that. But I think like how WWE sort of has the problem of just like, oh, it's the same five constantly. AEW needs a little bit of more of like, yes, you keep pushing up a Brody, you keep of like Darby, you already got here in that slot and stuff like that. Roosh or whatever, you throw him up in there. Andrade gets a shot. You already got Takesha and you got Okada. I was like, but you do need some other people to sort of play in that role because, and they also got a lot of championship too. So I think that's where they do need some of these people to come in or whatever. Also, from these releases. But anyway, let me know what you all think or whatever. There are other people that you would like to see in AEW, whether that's Nikki Cross or what whatever she'll come through and be. I was like I can't forget her name. But anyway, the one she tore her ACL. She tore her ACL. Zoe Starks. Boom. Remembered it. And that's how I'm gonna end the clip. Boom. Looking for this. Anyway, peace. I'm out.